Hey, what's up, guys? You're watching the Gamestork. They call me the Gamestork because I deliver, and today is no different. Today we're going to be talking about the PS5 DualShock 5 controller patent leaks and features and what this means for the next generation and all that good stuff. I actually filmed a video that featured me in the middle, but I kind of got some updated information since I filmed that, so I figured it'd be faster just to give you the updated stuff via audio and yeah, just kind of cut out my beautiful face yet again. Until next time, though, that's okay. Let's talk about it! So it looks like we got our first official look at the PlayStation 5 controller. Now we've got our look at the, the dev kit and all that good stuff, but the controller itself has been kind of the subject of a lot of speculation and people saying this and touchscreen, touchpad, all this stuff. So it looks like we've kind of got a view of it, and there has been a patent published by the Japanese Patent Office, and this seems pretty confident, which came from VGC. Pretty confident that these are the legit images of this patent. So Sony filed this patent and pretty much had all the hallmarks of a Sony document. Everything in it looks kind of similar to what's been reported secretly from before, that it looks exactly like the PS4 controller with just a few minor differences. And that's what it looks like this is. Even though this is our first look, it's pretty great. This thing does look a lot like the DualShock 4, but the DualShock 5 looks a little bit fatter and looks like it has a lot of different features, which you're going to break down. First of all, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal that, we're moving away from the DualShock 4's udders, okay, which is what I like to call them, because I have big hands, and big hands sometimes makes it difficult to play games on smaller controllers. The PlayStation 4 controller, out of all the controllers that I've used, is by far, not counting the Joy-Cons, is kind of the smallest and puts the most stress on my palms, which, so it makes me happy to see that they've got this. One of the big change is the inclusion of the adaptive triggers, which Sony's already talked about in the release of the PlayStation 5 coming, where they're going to have these adaptive triggers that makes it harder or easier to do different things in game to try to get you in a deeper sense of immersion. In other words, if you're playing with a bow and arrow, as you pull the bow back, you'll feel the button get harder and harder to push as the tension rises in game, and things like that, which I think are pretty cool. So these adaptive triggers are listed there. And somehow, I don't really know how this is going to feel different. I can't really imagine it, but I think it's going to be pretty cool having those incremental levels of resistance and how neat it could be. The picture document does show that there are larger triggers. The analog sticks look almost similar. And apparently there's a USB-C connection on there as a charger. But a big thing is the light bar is gone. And the PS camera has been scrapped. It looks like these things are gone. This is not there. It's not included. And I've always thought that the light bar, although it was kind of neat to look down and see a color, is somewhat unnecessary for a game, because I'd rather my controller last longer than have a light on it like that. There's supposedly now, or what's included in the new pad, and you can expect more games to use these sound-based mechanics, which is, let's face it, Nintendo kind of did this with the Wiimote and so on and so forth. So if you're like me and you just love being sarcastic, these sounds that just come out of your controllers for no apparent reason whatsoever, like a baby crying in Death Stranding, well, get ready, because it looks like this is going to happen again and again and again here in, the PlayStation 5 universe. So it's kind of interesting, though, that this will also have a speaker in it, and I don't know. I expect some really good things out of this. I hope it doesn't get too annoying like the other things. It kind of seems like that's something that should have been added before. Kind of was. I don't know. Anyway, they're kind of doubling down on that gimmick. So there are tons of potential features that could possibly still happen. But I think their big thing is realism and immersion and the new console generation. Like, they're looking to really convince us and really get us in and immersed as much as possible, because let's face it, this isn't going to be that huge of a leap. They want to cut down load times in the next generation because it's going to be nearly the same, more powerful, but they need to get us immersed. That's what's going to separate one generation from the others. Sony literally said one of our goals with the next generation is to deepen the feeling of immersion when you play games, and we had the opportunity with our new controller to reimagine how the sense of touch can add to that immersion. Now, there are two really key innovations to that end as Sony went on to PlayStation 5's controller. First, we're adopting haptic feedback to replace the rumble feature in controllers. And with haptics, you really feel a broader range of feedback, so crashing to a wall in a race feels much different than making a tackle on the football field. You can even get a sense of variety of textures when running through fields of grass or plodding through mud. And this is similar, even though haptic feedback is kind of gimmicky, it's very similar to what Nintendo did with the Joy-Con. So you can expect Sony to kind of follow in suit again and say, hey, we got better rumble, which is technically not rumble, but you know what I'm saying. This kind of reinforces the comments that have come from a lot of different places about how this is very similar. It looks a lot like the DualShock 4. But one of the big things I'm really excited about is the fact that there's not an actual LCD screen in the controller. Because although that sounded great, it's very impractical, and it's something that would just waste your freaking battery. Okay, so you'd have a controller that lasts 30 minutes, and you'd essentially have to have it plugged in all the time. And I do not want that. It's not worth that. But it looks like this is going to be very similar but more comfortable. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about this. Does this excite you any more about the PlayStation 5? Were you expecting more than you see? And do you believe it? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe below for all things PlayStation, all things Nintendo, all things awesome, right here, the Gamestork. See you next time.
Gamestork, delivering news, reviews, and playthroughs like a newborn baby.